All right, here we go. Welcome into the 49ers Report live here on Chat Sports. It's a Victory Monday. We decided to go live because I want to interact with the faithful, and we have some playoff football to talk about with this playoff-bound San Francisco 49ers football team. So myself, producer Trizzy Trace, we're going to stay live for the next 30, 40 minutes, do a little 49ers Seahawks preview, answer some of your questions as well as your Super Chats. Any Super Chat that comes in, $5 or more, we're going to put your name on this football. Then we're going to sign it. We're going to send it to one of our Super Chat MVPs, John Wallace, for being a loyal subscriber on the San Francisco 49ers Report. So we're going to let people pile in the comment section, already starting to pile in and pop off right now. So continue to really join the faithful audience here, join the faithful family here at Chat Sports, and let's chop it up. Let's talk football. We got done recording a video about 30 minutes ago. I turned to Trace and I said, you know what? We have some time to kill. I really just want to interact and hang out with the faithful to talk some Niners football. That's what we're doing because we have the power to do that, and we give you daily coverage here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Now, not only is it a Victory Monday for San Francisco, it is also the National Championship Day in college football. Really good matchup in my opinion. I understand that Georgia winning the national championship last year, looking to go for back-to-back championships under head coach Kirby Smart, is about 14-point favorites, but I watched TCU in the Big 12 championship game in a matchup that they lost to Kansas State. I watched them last weekend on New Year's Eve. I was thoroughly impressed with the physicality, the depth, and the overall talent, not just last week, but also in the Big 12 championship game. All throughout this year, I think TCU can keep it within 2 touchdowns and make this a viable contest in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, a.k.a. Levi Stadium South, the real ones know. So who you got in the national championship tonight between the Georgia Bulldogs and the TCU Horned Frogs? Let us know, UGA or TCU. We're going to have a little party here at Chat Sports tonight. We're hanging out in the office watching the Natty. We also have a crew in the Los Angeles area covering the national championship. So who do you think wins this football game tonight in the college ranks? David Watts, TCU, Charlie Hustle, Georgia, Jose Diaz going with TCU, SNM, TCU, Words of Wisdom, TCU as well. A lot of people going with the Horned Frogs right now, and of course, the topic of conversation today and all throughout this week, it's Niners Seahawks. That is our live poll. So far, 75 votes, 93% of the audience going with San Francisco. I, too, think the Niners are going to win this football game on Saturday. And if you're with me, if you think the Niners are going to beat the Sea Chickens, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. 108 people watching live, 14 likes. If you think the Niners are going to advance to the divisional round, then hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I know a lot of you proud supporters of San Francisco, some of you from visiting territory, and you're a fraudulent Sea Chickens fan, but hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you think the Niners will be victorious in the first round, wild card round of the NFL playoffs. Which team do you think is the biggest threat to the Niners in the NFC? Look at the landscape, and we could take a look at the NFC playoff picture as well to see what matchups are coming up, as well as the final seedings after 18 weeks in the regular season. Philadelphia Eagles able to maintain that top spot in the NFC. They beat the Giants yesterday at home, so they win the NFC East, get that top spot in the NFC in the process with a franchise record of 14 wins. 14-3 for Philadelphia. Regardless of who they were playing this year, it's an impressive record. You know, it's also impressive the fact that San Francisco began the season at 3-4, popped off 9 consecutive wins to finish the regular season, 2-seed NFC West champs, the hottest team in football. Vikings, 3rd position, 13-4. I think that team's fraudulent. I honestly think that the Giants can go on the road and beat the Vikings wild card round, and then that 4-5 matchup between Tom Brady, who I believe is undefeated all time against the Dallas Cowboys, against a perennial choker in Dallas. I think Tampa Bay could win that game as well. And then it's the Seattle Seahawks on the road, 3rd time that these two NFC West divisional heated rivalry teams will meet up here this year. Now, anytime we get a $5 or more super chat on today's show, as we have 163 people watching live, we're going to sign your name on this football and send it to one of our devoted subscribers here in John Wallace. So any super chat, $5 or more, we'll put your name on this football. We're going to sign it then and send it to our guy, John Wallace. He was the winner of this football 2 watch parties ago on New Year's Day. Now, I'm looking at the comment section right now to see which team people are worried about. Ariel said Eagles, Bills, Chiefs. Okay, so one in the NFC, and then obviously Bills, Chiefs would be a Super Bowl matchup. Panda football, San Francisco, baby. Woo! You already know. It's our time, bro. Our year from New Money Beats. Ernesto Ojeda doesn't like the fact that the Niners could face the Vikings, which is surprising to me. The Rickster. Kansas City Chiefs, David Watts, Minnesota. Niners for the win from They better win from name, I agree. If they don't, I'm going to be in absolute shambles, and we will all be in shambles together. Seahawks going home from Charlie Hustle, and then Ernesto throwing in that college football national championship prediction. Ernesto likes Georgia. Now, Brock Purdy has played really, really well in his 5 starts as a Niner, and in each of those 5 starts, he has thrown multiple touchdowns. So let's show him some love here and hope that he continues to play really good football. Type BCB for Big Cock Brock. He continues to surprise everybody across the National Football League with his play as Mr. Irrelevant, and he's made this offense even better than it was with Jimmy Garoppolo. Downfield accuracy, stretching the field vertically, better mobility and athleticism and quickness than Jimmy G. And he's really just mastering Kyle Shanahan's scheme right now, playing the role of point guard, distributing the football, making accurate throws, checking it down when he needs to. I've been so impressed. So if you have as well, give me that BCB down in the comment section right now, like Quest 46. And if you love the Niners, nearly 200 people watching live, hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. Marcus Pearson. Everyone is saying you can't beat a team 3 times. Well, let me explain how San Francisco can beat the Seahawks 3 times. In 120 minutes of gameplay, the 49ers have given up 1 offensive touchdown to Seattle. Is that going to wildly reverse outside of turnovers? I don't see that happening. Nearly 200 people watching live, only 44 likes. We decided to go live in a win because we want to just chop it up with the faithful and talk about the playoff-bound San Francisco 49ers. Mutt Flatulence back in the chat. Good to see you again. BCB. New Money Beats, CMC and BCB unlock this offense. They have Quest for 6 from Baby Bosa from Teddy Boy. Ever since I gave him the Brocky Balboa name, he hasn't lost a game from Tony Montana. Tony Montana. That's a good nickname right there. Dog Boy, hello. Well, hello. Steelers gonna Super Bowl. I disagree. Steelers aren't making the Super Bowl because they're not in the playoffs. $5 Super Chat from Words of Wisdom. Also a $2 Super Chat from Words of Wisdom. Anytime we get a $5 or more Super Chat, your name goes on this football. Then I'm going to sign it, and we're going to send it to John Wallace, our Super Chat MVP. So speaking of that, Words of Wisdom going on the football, $5 Super Chat. I make no bones about it. Run up the score on the Sea Chickens and put my name on that ball. Mark El Jefe Valencia. I love it. And run it up. Run it up against a hated rival that prior to this year has dominated San Francisco in the past. So let's see. What do we have to do here? Mark El Jefe. I love it. Anybody who sends in a $5 or more Super Chat, your name goes on the ball today. Valencia. So there you go. Mark El Jefe in this mug. All right. Wild card preview coming up here on the Niners Report. Also, the Houston Texans have requested permission to interview DeMeco Ryans. We'll get to that a little bit later. Going to be live for the next 30 minutes or so. So get those donations, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and hang out with us as we talk some Niners football right now. Yeah, you can just pop them up. Yeah, we'll interact with all of you. If you have a question, hashtag 49ers. This isn't really a structured live show. Really just want to talk some football because I'm excited that the Niners are in the playoffs. I know you're excited that the Niners are in the playoffs as well, and there's so much to discuss on that front. So hashtag 49ers or Super Chat to get featured on the show as we preview this game against Seattle, talk about these DeMeco Ryans rumors. We'll open up the floor, and you can ask me literally anything that you want by using the hashtag 49ers or Super Chat. And if we get a $50 Super Chat, I'm down to shotgun a beer before my workout. I'm down to shotgun a beer before my workout. Get the calories in there before the workout. All right, let's talk about this game right now coming up on Saturday. NFL wildcard round is set. San Francisco 49ers, after locking up that number 2 seed in the NFC, will play this game at Levi Stadium and play host to the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday. The game after that going to be an AFC matchup between the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So really the center stage for San Francisco to take part in this game on wildcard Saturday and prove to everybody that they are in fact legit Super Bowl contenders. And after having won 9 games in a row, I believe this team has a golden opportunity to get to Glendale, Arizona on that quest for 6. So San Francisco 49ers, Seattle Seahawks, going to be the third time that these two NFC West rivalry teams that absolutely despise and hate one another will meet here in the 2022 season in the 2023 NFL playoffs. And you think back to the roller coaster of a ride that we've been on here for San Francisco. And even last year, when the Niners started 3-5, they ended up finishing with 10 wins. And they made it to the NFC Championship game. Should have had that game at SoFi Stadium, Levi Stadium South, with that 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Niners lose it, but that motivation is carried into this year. And it got a little bit peculiar early in the 2022 campaign when the Niners started 3-4. They began the season by losing to the Chicago Bears, who now have the number 1 overall pick, and finished the regular season by losing 10 games in a row. And then it's wild to think that not only did San Francisco lose to the Chicago Bears, they lost to the hack in Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. And that Broncos organization ended up being an unmitigated disaster. So when San Francisco began the season at 3-4, nobody had projected or thought that the Niners were going to be able to pop off 10 straight wins to end the regular season, win the NFC West, have a 13-4 record, and a number 2 seed and spot in the NFC playoff picture. San Francisco had to start 3 different quarterbacks. Isn't it wild to think that at one point Trey Lance was the starter, then it was Jimmy Garoppolo after the Trey Lance injury, then once Garoppolo hurt his ankle, it was Brock Purdy who came in, and this ride for Purdy has been absolutely magical. 5-0 as a starter, completing about 68% of his passes, 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, hasn't lost a game, and this Niners team is on a roll. And I think it is pretty telling that the Niners are 10.5-point favorites. That tells me that the odds makers think that San Francisco is the far better team. Obviously, seeding shows that, but the Seahawks prior to this year have owned the Niners going all the way back to 2012 as we've documented the history between these two NFC West powers. Over-under set at 43, but 49ers clearly the more superior team with more dynamic players, and Kyle Shanahan, I'll give him the coaching edge over Pete Carroll and a 2-0 record against Seattle this year. $5 Super Chat coming in from Words of Wisdom a little bit earlier. He follows that up with this. What do you think about Jimmy Ward playing some corner in place of Deommodore Lenoir? Well, Mark, he's actually been playing a lot of slot corner. And as you've noticed, Deshaun Gibson, Talanoa Hufanga have been manning those safety spots, and Jimmy Ward has been playing a lot of slot and nickel corner. And I actually think he's played really well in that role. He's set to be a free agent. Now he's put on tape for the other 31 teams in the NFL that he was voted a top 100 player going into 2022. He was a Pro Bowl player last year, a former first-round pick whose career got off to a slow start given those first-round expectations. He's developed into a team captain, a really good player, and now he's showing teams out there he can play safety at a high level. He can also play slot corner. I think he's due to get paid this offseason. Has Deommodore Lenoir been a stellar cornerback? No. Has he stepped in the shoes for Emmanuel Mosley and picked off where E-Man went off the field with that torn ACL? No. Emmanuel Mosley was one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. There are certainly moments where Deommodore Lenoir can play a little bit better, but if you watched that play yesterday on the trick play that went 77 yards to the house, A.J. Green had a little bit of a push, which kind of disrupted the momentum for Lenoir trying to rise up and pick that ball off, but there's no question he has to be a little bit better, especially in this game against Seattle. 2 really good wide receivers who you're facing in Tyler Lockett as well as DK Metcalf. Now, when you look at the NFC playoff picture, wild card matchups this upcoming weekend, 49ers and Seahawks kickoff playoff play Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. Vikings-Giants will be on Sunday at the same time, and then Bucks against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys have to go on the road despite having a 12-5 record as compared to the Bucks' 8-9 record. They've never beaten Tom Brady in the playoffs or in the regular season, and Tom Brady has owned Dallas, and if the Cowboys go down, it will be oh so sweet. And you go back to that line with the 49ers being 10.5-point favorites in a playoff game against a familiar divisional foe. That's why I think the odds makers took a look at this game and they think, okay, San Francisco can dominate this game. Over their 10-game winning streak, they're averaging more than 30 points per game, and they've been dominant against Seattle this year. 2 matchups, 2 Niners wins. San Francisco has outscored the Seahawks 48-20 in the 2 games this year. Week 15 on Thursday Night Football, all the way back in Week 2 when Jimmy G had to replace an injured Trey Lance. And in 120 minutes of gameplay, get this, folks, 120 minutes of gameplay, the Seattle Seahawks have scored a grand total of just one offensive touchdown all throughout this year. Now, we have 326 people watching live. I'm talking a lot. If you want to chop it up and you want to be involved with the show, be like Words of Wisdom, a.k.a. El Jefe Mark. Use the hashtag 49ers or Super Chat to get on the show. And if you send in a $5 or more Super Chat, we'll put your name here on the ball. We're going to sign it and send it to John Wallace, one of our Super Chat MVPs. Another reason why I think San Francisco can really fare well in this game, they're the hotter team as compared to Seattle. You look at Seattle's last 5 games, this is a team that really backed into the playoffs. Did they win their final 2 games and take care of business? Yes, but other dominoes had to fall in the right direction for Seattle to get into the playoffs. But they lost to the Panthers, they lost to the Niners, and let me just say, 21-13, the scoreboard didn't indicate how much San Francisco really controlled that football game. They lost to the Chiefs 24-10 on the road in a really cold environment. They come back home to take on the hapless Jets as the Jets just collapsed in the back half of the season because of their quarterback questions. Zach Wilson, the Mormon MILF Hunter, ain't it. And then they beat the Rams yesterday to get into the playoffs, but they needed the Detroit Lions, having nothing to play for Detroit, to beat the Packers on the road just to get into the playoffs. So the Seahawks kind of backpedal into the playoffs, whereas San Francisco has been so dominant, so good, so versatile, so dynamic, and just so dominant during this 10-game winning streak. And really, the constant theme when you look at all these scores, 31-14 against the Rams, 22-16 against the Chargers, 38-10 against the Cardinals in Mexico City, a shutout against the Saints, 13-0, 33-17, which ended the Dolphins, 35-7 against Tom Brady and the Bucks, 21-13 on the road against Seattle, 37-20 against the Commanders, 37-34 against the Raiders, and 38-13 against the Cardinals. The 49ers have scored a lot of points, and that defense, there's a reason why they're the number 1 overall defense in the NFL, and they have the opportunity to go down as one of the best defenses of all time because they have held their opponents and certainly buckled down in critical moments in the red zone, near the goal line, short yardage situations, and overall have overpowered and overwhelmed the opposition with their great defensive play, awesome defensive line play led by Nick Bosa, best linebacking core in the NFL, and a secondary that, let's be real, is a little bit spotty, but has still been opportunistic with a guy like Deshaun Gibson making $1 million this year, having 3 interceptions over the last 2 weeks. And the 49ers, during this 10-game winning streak, averaging 30.5 points per game. And Seattle hasn't had the recipe to stop San Francisco this year. 49ers, no excuses to lose this football game. The only way they drop it is if they turn the football over 4 times, and hopefully that is not the case. So with that, get those game predictions in for Saturday's game. And a reminder, we'll be live tomorrow as well during our normal time slot of 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. SF for the 49ers, SEA for the Seattle Seahawks. Let us know who you got on Saturday in the wild card round at Levi Stadium. Another question coming in from Evan Hinders. I might be wrong, but I'm saying the Niners win. Then they will play Minnesota. Then they will play Buffalo. Then in the Super Bowl, they will play Buffalo in the Super Bowl. The MVP will be Ayuk. And then Evan Hendricks continued by saying, will Jimmy G be active Saturday or next week if advanced? No. He just started walking. He's not working out. He's not practicing, so don't expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be active for this game. It's just not going to happen. Kyle Shanahan did say last week, though, he might be available later in the playoffs. As for the Niners playing the Vikings in round 2, that's pretty much impossible with the Vikings having the 3 seed and San Francisco having that 2 seed. It would be maybe Bucks, Cowboys, or another team out there that the Niners would face. Obviously, the Eagles get the lowest seed because they have the number 1 seed. Now, when you pivot back to week 2, the 49ers lose Trey Lance in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. I thought he played really well, and this offense was humming. 25 first downs as compared to Seattle's 14, as the Niners defense had a great effort. 70 plays as compared to 47 for Seattle. So San Francisco, a lot more first downs. They controlled time of possession, and Seattle just couldn't stop this Niners offense. 373 total yards to 216, 189 rushing yards to 36, 27 points to 7. Seattle got shut out offensively. The only time they had a touchdown was on that blocked Robbie Gould field goal that got returned for a tutty for Seattle. And what's one of the common themes here in both of these matchups? Let's take a look at the rushing yards. The 49ers ran all over Seattle in week 2. They did it again in week 15, 170 rushing yards to 70. The only way Seattle can win this game, they force a bunch of turnovers, they milk and maintain possession of the football as well as the clock, and they just play keep away from San Francisco. But again, I just think that this Niners offense is way too lethal with all of the playmakers at their disposal with how Brock Purdy is playing, with Deebo Samuel back, Elijah Mitchell now as Christian McCaffrey's backup running back, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle in the final month had 7 touchdowns as that connection with Brock Purdy continues to be great. How can Seattle, in a rebuilding year, beat San Francisco if San Francisco brings its A game? So those two comparisons, week 2 and week 15, the clear advantage for the Niners. And this is why I think San Francisco should definitely win this football game. They're the hottest team in the NFL. Everything is clicking, and I think that confidence going into the playoffs is really important. More premier players on both sides of the ball, and this Niners special teams unit has also started to play a lot better from a rocky first month of the season. This 49ers offense is humming, more than 30 points per game over its last 10. It's the best defense in football that can overwhelm and pressure Geno Smith, and they're stout against the run. And I think when you examine this Niners roster and you compare it to other teams in the NFC, San Francisco is boosting the best and most complete roster in the NFC. That's why you can't choke in this game on Saturday, because an opportunity for the quest for 6 is there, and the Niners have as good of a chance to win a Super Bowl as they've had in a really, really long time, because they play so much better at home, and they have home field advantage through at least the first 2 rounds. And if they have to go on the road, it'll be to Philadelphia if the Eagles, who are struggling right now, do survive their divisional round matchup after getting the first round bye. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the weather for Saturday. I checked the forecast this morning right when I woke up because I couldn't stop thinking about this game, and that's why we're live. As of Monday, 80% chance of rain on Saturday in Santa Clara, and I do think that that gives the advantage to Seattle somewhat if they just want to try to run the football, play keep away from this Niners offense, force a couple of turnovers in deep San Francisco territory, and then that would allow Seattle to put some easy points on the board. And a big looming question for this football game, on top of the fact that the Niners are looking for 3 wins over the Seahawks in one single season, it all comes down to Brock Purdy. Can Brock get it done in a really big playoff spot? I think he can, because he's been able to display really good play under Shanahan, and I think that Kyle Shanahan has put him in a position to be successful. Shanahan's been in his bag with his play calling, and because of it, he's set up Purdy for success. Brock Purdy said after the game, like, sometimes playing in the NFL this year, it's easier than Iowa State, because at Iowa State, I didn't have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell as the 1-2 punch in the backfield. I didn't have the creative genius in Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. I didn't have George Kittle going off for 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games. I didn't have a former All-Pro in Deebo Samuel, a 1,000-yard receiver in Brandon Ayuk, a third-down machine in a guy like Jawan Jennings. So this elite offensive supporting cast has paid off massive dividends for Brock Purdy, allowing him to play point guard, distribute the football, and give Purdy a balanced run and pass game. And I think that the fact that Purdy, who had so much experience at the college level, 48 career games, played that much at Iowa State, that has really translated to him taking the league by storm here and playing good ball. 5-0 record as a starter, 13 touchdowns to 4 picks, 3 of those interceptions coming as a starting quarterback over his last 5, so he's making really good decisions. He's completed north of 67% of his passes, average yards per attempt at 8.1, and he's thrown for nearly 1,400 yards. I do think also that turnovers will be key in this game, and a big reason why I think it's important for the Niners to get that number 2 seed and why I maintain that position. The 49ers in games at Levi Stadium have a turnover differential of plus 16 this year. On the road, it's minus 3. So they're more sloppy with the football away from the friendly confines of Levi Stadium, and you have the home crowd backing you as well in what is going to be a raucous environment, considering that Niner fans despise and hate those Seattle Sea Frauds. The big question, Purdy, is he going to fold in a big spot and in a playoff game? He hasn't yet, so hopefully he doesn't in this game or throughout this playoff run, because even when you match up the Niners against a team like the Eagles, I'm taking San Francisco because they have more playoff experience. I'll go Kyle Shanahan over Nick Sirianni, better offense and defense from top to bottom, and the playoff level experience is massive. And Purdy, if he just continues to make good decisions and he doesn't collapse and fold and turn into a mental struggle game with himself, then the 49ers should be victorious and they can make a deep run. In summary, this is how San Francisco wins this game going away. You don't turn it over. You have a balanced offensive attack. You shut down the Seahawks run, which has been solid this year with Kenneth Walker, because if they can't run the football, you put pressure on Geno Smith, and when he has to drop back against this Niners defense, he could get harassed all throughout the day. As for the 49ers injury report, Elijah Mitchell came back yesterday. Looked good, 2 touchdowns, only played in 5 games this year, but man, when he's healthy, the best number 2 running back in the NFL. Deebo Samuel did play against Arizona. Aaron Banks, maybe he'll be able to go with that knee and ankle issue. Kyle Shanahan says he at least has a chance to practice this week. Same can be said for Dre Greenlaw with that back. Kevin Givens continues to rehabilitate that knee ailment, and Ambry Thomas missed last week's game with an ankle injury. So with that, faithful, 440 people watching live, 100 plus likes. Predict the score. Let us know. We'll give you some shout outs right now, and then we'll get to the latest on DeMeco Ryans. What's up, fam? Just chilling. Let's go. Any $5 super chat that comes in, your name goes on the ball. And I did say prior to my workout, I'll shotgun a beer for a $50 super chat if you want to do that. What do you want to do? Freedom funnel or something? Get the juices flowing for the Natty? Let's go. Freedom funnel, shotgun, $50 super chat. Let's get it popping. We're probably going to stay live for another 10, 15 minutes or so. What'd you say? Is that, are you volunteering? Volunteering? Beer bong. $100 in super chats total. Abby said that she'll do a beer bong. She didn't say it, but Trey said it for her. It's not the way to treat an employee, Trace. Come on. Workplace environment. So who you got? Let us know in the chat. We'll start to give you some shout outs here. Taking a look at your score predictions. I'm interested to see where people are at here. I see who y'all think is going to win. We said our live poll, 350 votes, 93% with the Niners, 7% with Seattle. But let's take a look at the score predictions here. Matthias, Niners win 49-0. Kovev, 44-0. Wet Noodle 187, I have to get in contact with you because you were the winner of our Niners koozie by entering the raffle yesterday. So I'll hit you up on Instagram or you hit me up. I just need your address to send that to you. I'm not sure if you were joining us live when we announced the winner, of winning our Niners koozie. That's kind of like a Yeti, but we'll get in touch. 31-18, Niners from Dog Boy. 38-17 from our homie, David Corona. Good to hear from you last night on call-in. No, what did he say?
So we have bodies at the Natty right now in LA, at SoFi, at Levi Stadium, home south, whatever it is. Harrison Graham, our resident TCU fan, just said if we get a $50 super chat, we can FaceTime him to show the TCU Georgia inside look.
Oh, how about that?
So for a $50 super chat, you get an inside look on the Natty, which you don't get anywhere else.
Let's do that.
This is exclusively for the 49ers report.
So
no other channel's getting
That's
this.
pretty damn cool because we decided to go live last minute. So a $50 super chat. We're going to FaceTime our crew at SoFi Stadium, a.k.a. Levi Stadium South. They're going to give us an inside look at what the scene looks like in the lead up to the national championship game. And because our boy Harrison Graham is there at the Rams Stadium, you know what I'm going to have him do? San Francisco. So if we get a $50 super chat, inside look from Levi Stadium South, SoFi Stadium, right outside of Los Angeles, we'll do that. Let's get you caught up on what's going down with this Niners coaching staff as well, because for the third consecutive year, looks as though Kyle Shanahan could lose one of his top assistants. Last year, Mike McDaniel to the Dolphins. Year before that, Robert Saleh to the Jets. Maybe this offseason cycle in the head coaching carousel, it's going to be DeMeco Ryans. Now, this is interesting because Ian Rappaport reporting this, that the Texans have put in a request to interview DeMeco Ryans of the Niners, who's had a stellar 2 years as defensive coordinator, as well as Jonathan Gannon, the DC for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Broncos defensive coordinator also as well, getting permission to potentially interview for that Texans head coaching spot. And for DeMeco Ryans, this is a Niners defense that has been absolutely spectacular all throughout this year, last year as well. DeMeco Ryans did start his playing career with the Houston Texans, but what's interesting here, I'm not sure if DeMeco is going to take the interview and then in turn become the next head coach. He did play with the Houston Texans. As I mentioned, he was a second-round pick, 33rd overall, so right on the cusp of being a first-round pick back in 2006, went to Alabama from 2002 to 2005, was drafted by the Texans. He was there from 2006 to 2011. Then he got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, spent a couple of years there. And as a coach in the NFL, he was with the Niners, defensive quality control coach in 2017. Then he was the inside linebackers coach from 2018 to 2020. Then he became the defensive coordinator in 2021. But he doesn't really have a great relationship with Houston. At least those are the rumblings out there for DeMeco Ryans. So they drafted him. He played there. He was really good. Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2006, first-team All-Pro in 2007, a two-time Pro Bowler in 07-09, All-Rookie team. In 2006, he won the Lott Trophy at Alabama. In 2005, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. In 2005, unanimous All-American at Bama. In 2005, first-team All-SEC in 2005. He might not go back to his former franchise if he thinks that the Niners give him a better opportunity. If he were to stay the defensive coordinator, to continue to stack up his resume and wait for the best option out there to become a head coach in the NFL. Evan Hinders with another one. If DeMeco Ryans takes a head coaching job, who will step in to be the next defensive coordinator? I'm looking at guys like Vic Fangio. I'm looking at a guy maybe like Jim Schwartz. Some people have called for Corey Unlin, the DB's coach, to maybe be defensive coordinator. Chris Kocurek is the best defensive line coach in the NFL, and his development of defensive linemen has been sensational. Hall of Fame caliber, honestly, because he brings the best out of all of his players. The news and word is out of Santa Clara / San Francisco is that he is content with being a defensive line coach, which is great. So maybe he would not be a candidate to be the Niners defensive coordinator. If you want to continue to get your questions in, use the hashtag 49ers. Xavier Garcia with another one. Do you see Sean McVay coaching under Kyle Shanahan again? I don't. Look, McVay has won a Super Bowl, the youngest coach in NFL history to do so. And he's well accomplished in this league. What I see happening with Sean McVay, I saw an interview with him in the lead up to that Seahawks game, and he basically was non-committal about coming back in 2023. And Adam Schefter, I thought the verbiage that he used was very interesting, saying that his future very much in doubt. And for McVay, if he were to leave his post as head coach of the Los Angeles Rams. I think he leaves, gets into broadcasting, maybe takes over for Kirk Herbstreit alongside Al Michaels for that Amazon package. He makes, let's say, $20 million to do so, more than what he makes as an NFL head coach. And then at some point down the road, after building up his broadcasting profile, like a John Gruden, too soon, maybe, then he gets back into NFL coaching, and he will certainly have a lot of teams vying for his services. Hashtag 49ers or Super Chat to get featured on the show. If we get a $50 Super Chat, we're going to give you an inside look from SoFi Stadium in the lead up to the national championship game between TCU and Georgia. We have a Chat Sports crew that is out there right now, and if we do get them on the phone with the $50 Super Chat, I'll shotgun Trace will Freedom Funnel, but also I'm going to have Harrison Graham give us a San Francisco on the turf of the Los Angeles Rams. I think that could be a pretty cool opportunity. Here's the picture of where they are. TCU and Georgia going to kick off here in a little bit. And SoFi Stadium looking absolutely beautiful right now. So we'll give a ring to our Chat Sports crew live outside of Los Angeles for the national championship game for a $50 Super Chat. Going to stay live for a few minutes. Let's say 8 more minutes live. So last call to get your questions and your Super Chats in. We will sign off at 6:40 Eastern, 3:40 Pacific. I got to get a workout in. We decided to go live last minute. That's what we're doing because we just wanted to give the best content to the faithful. Izzy B missed a lot of the segments, but who are the 49ers looking at in the NFL draft? Now, what's interesting, they don't have a lot of draft capital, Izzy B. So no first-round pick. They gave up some of their premier assets to trade for Christian McCaffrey. So as of right now, it'll all be middle round guys, and we'll start to dive deeper into that in the months leading up to the NFL draft in April. But hopefully we don't have to talk about it anytime soon because we know what that would mean, a deep playoff run for the Niners. John O'Malley, why do you think the Niners defense is better than the Eagles? The Eagles defensive line and secondary is way better. I would say that the Niners defensive line is better because the Eagles don't have a Nick Bosa. And I think that they're a little bit more deeper along their defensive line. Guys like Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, Drake Jackson. The Eagles' front four as starters, very good. And they've set records for sacks this year. They've been spectacular with their sack production. But I like the Niners' defensive scheme. I like the Niners' defensive coordinator in DeMeco Ryans a lot more than Jonathan Gannon, who plays back too much, way too much quarters. Niners defense really gets after, and their aggressiveness allows their defensive line to play a little bit better. So, John, it might not come down to personnel. Sometimes it comes down to schematics. Ernesto, if the Niners make the run to the Super Bowl, which team would you want to face from the AFC standpoint? I'd like to get revenge on the Chiefs. I think the Bengals would be a great matchup. Niners-Bills would be very entertaining. And then outside of that, I think there's a pretty steep drop-off. Now, obviously, you'd want to take on a team that you have a chance of beating. All of those teams are formidable opponents, but I want to see the best matchup for the biggest game of the year. Eddie Griss, any updates on Emmanuel Mosley? Out for the year. He tore his ACL. So he's going to be free agent. Given how he played last year and to start this year, he could make anywhere between $10 and $14 million. I've seen some projections for him having him make about $12 million per year. It's going to be good money for Emmanuel Mosley because a lot of teams need cornerback help out there. VP Adventures, 49ers going all the way, going to blow the whole league back with the performance of Brock Purdy. I'm calling all the shots. VP calling the shots, and I hope you're right in calling those shots. And for Brock Purdy, just don't fold in the big moment. Don't turn the football over. Listen to Kyle Shanahan. He's calling the plays for you, allowing you to play really good football. You just can't mess it up. That's really what it comes down to for Brock Purdy. Speaking of big cock Brock, give me those BCBs in the comment section right now. We're going to stay live for about 5 more minutes, so get those questions in. Any super chats that you send in, we'll get them featured on the show. $50 super chat, we will go live from SoFi Stadium from the national championship. TCU, Georgia, going to kick off in less than an hour. Words of wisdom. Thanks to Chase and Trizzy for breaking up my workday. That's what we try to do. I turned to Trizzy about an hour ago and I said, let's just go live, man. I want to talk Niner football. I want to interact with the faithful. We'll, of course, do our regular show tomorrow, but let's go live right now to just talk some Niners. preview this game against the Seattle Seahawks. We did put out our official preview, by the way. That is on the channel right now. Monica Lynn, BCB, Aunt Lou, Rachel, all type in that BCB. Any super chat that comes in $5 or more, we're putting your name on this football. Then we're going to send it to our guy, John Wallace. Dogboy 1100 with this. John O'Malley first, then Dogboy. You're up next. How do the Niners stop A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? With their pass rush, if they're able to generate a pass rush and Jalen Hurts doesn't have time to throw, then the Niners secondary can hold up. But, John, you made a good point earlier in saying that the Eagles secondary is better than the Niners secondary. It probably is. And the Niners do have the best linebacking core in the NFL, though. So they could quarterback spy Jalen Hurts throughout that game to try to limit what he can do with running. And if the Niners get a pass rush on Hurts and he struggles running the football, it could be difficult for Philadelphia. I expect that to be the NFC Championship game. I've been saying for the last 2 months, those are my top 2 teams in the NFC. Dogboy 1100, I told you were coming up. If the Niners get eliminated, which they won't, who would you want to win the Super Bowl? Well, I host Eagles Now, so I'd go to Eagles Now, and I grew up in the Philadelphia area, but at that point, you know, it would suck to not be able to host any more watch parties on the Niners Report because it is so litty and it is so exciting on a week-in, week-out basis, and of course we'll be live for Saturday's game as well. What in tarnation? Sturdy Purdy should start next season, so do we keep Lance or do we trade him BCB? I will not be surprised one bit if the 49ers do trade away Trey Lance to get some of those second, third, fourth-round picks back that the Niners had given up in that trade for Christian McCaffrey. Also keep in mind that they don't have a first-round pick this year or next year because of that trade-up for Trey Lance. So getting some of that draft capital back for him, if Brock Purdy continues to play this well and the Niners and their evaluations think that Purdy can be the guy for this franchise moving forward, going to be a fascinating conversation this offseason. Izzy B, $2 super chat. Y'all will cover the college Natty for $50. We already have a crew there. So we'll FaceTime into our crew at the College Football National Championship for a $50 super chat. And it's going to be the last call for that. 2-minute shot clock is on. Last call, $50 super chat. I'm shotgunning, Trace Freedom Funnel, and then we will phone in our friends live from the National Championship at Levi Stadium South, a.k.a. SoFi Stadium, right outside of Los Angeles. So the 2-minute warning is on. In the meantime, I'll run through these questions. You want to get in a super chat? Get it in right now. VP Adventures, do you think we should have Brock, Star, and Trey as the backup and trade Jimmy G for some picks, or what? Well, VP, Jimmy is a free agent, so you can't trade him. You don't have his contractual rights. So I think he's going to go somewhere else in free agency. And I understand that I just talked about the possibility of Trey Lance getting traded. If you do bring him back, you have 2 very talented young quarterbacks still on their rookie contracts, and you can afford to have them both on your team in case another injury happens at that quarterback spot to put you in a position to still compete next year and build out the rest of your roster. So there's no harm in having 2 young rookie quarterbacks on their rookie contracts, on those contracts on your roster. Jimmy G going to be Hallmark star this time next year. I actually think he could go somewhere and be successful. We're 1 minute, 10 seconds in. So 50 seconds and counting left to get in a super chat. If not, all good. We decided to go live last minute. We didn't even remind you, but still had a great audience, so we appreciate y'all. Chris Madsen, Niners strong no matter who is at quarterback. Having a complimentary offense certainly helps. John O'Malley, let's see how he does in the playoffs. That's the big looming question. Oh, Izzy! $50 super chat. So Trace, he's going to hit up Harrison. We're going to phone him in live from the national championship game. Izzy B! Yeah, hopefully they answer.
got you. We got the $50 super chat. I'm going to hand you to Chase.
All right, so hold on one second. Hold on one sec. Yeah, hold on. Put your
All right, you guys see the stadium behind me. I don't know if this is working or not, but I'm just gonna talk. I can't hear. We're here in LA. Stadium's behind me. See it right there. Trey Miller not gonna play for TCU, which sucks, but he's out. Now we're still kickoff. Gotta get the frogs up, baby. The Hypno Toads, they're fucking ready to go.
Let's go!
Hypnotoads!
All right, so that's the scene from the national championship.
Oh, yeah, we have to drink.
And we do have to drink before we sign off after the $50 super chat from our homie, the real one, Izzy B. And I'll tell Harrison, he couldn't hear us at all because it's so loud at the national championship. I'll tell him that he has to give us a San Francisco where the Rams play their football games. I don't have keys on me. Do you have keys? I could try to puncture it with the Sharpie. Oh! Oh, mama! That's what happens when you crack a beer with a Sharpie. We're all right, dude. Yeah. All right. Here's a shotgun for the 50 from Izzy.
Izzy B!
Izzy B, Freedom Funnel from Trizzy.
I'm drinking a War Eagle for Izzy B.
There you go,
There
War
we
Eagle
go.
for
There we
Izzy
go.
B. She went to Auburn, so War Damn Eagle. Yeah, that wasn't pleasant. I had to crack the beer with the Sharpie because I didn't have any keys on me.
Kind of an elite move, though.
Elite
Kind
move.
of an elite move.
Yeah, you can't be scared out here.
Not in these streets.
All right, I'm going to get a workout in, and then we're going to watch the national championship together as a Chat Sports crew. And then we have a crew outside of Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium for the national championship. So, again, appreciate all of y'all for watching. We decided to go live last minute just to talk some Niners football. We will be live tomorrow for an actual show in which we'll do a lot more content in the lead up to the Seahawks game on Saturday. So thanks to all of you for tuning in. San Francisco. We're talking about a playoff-bound football team. Keep it locked and subscribe right here to the Niners Report.